The definition that I knew about colic was purely based on number of hours of crying, and it was something like more than 3 hours, more than 3 days per week for more than 3 weeks, or something like that. It was something along these lines.
But she's absolutely right. I mean, it was just, this is what's happening, and there was no question of anyone working out why it was happening. It was,
yeah, exactly. So I think, and even the word colic seems to suggest it's coming from the tummy, but in fact, crying can be due to many things, can't it?
Of course. Well, Rich says, and you mentioned this earlier on as one of the solutions, in inverted commas, for colic. How can Infocol and other similar things advertise that their colic drops if there's no good evidence?
I think that's an excellent question, and that's something that I wondered how the ASA was not picking up on. I do not have the answer, but definitely in our systematic review.
I suppose the ASA isn't going to pick up on something unless someone complains about it. They don't go out looking for things that are wrong, do they? They wait for people to say, this doesn't seem right to me.
Do they? I mean, as a profession, we had to provide evidence about list of conditions that we could treat.
But I think that was on the back of a number of complaints, possibly the Good Thinking Society. I hate calling them that, but possibly on the back of their campaign against us, that it was felt we had to justify it. But I'm not aware of the ASA or the CAP. The CAP is the procedures, isn't it? I'm not aware of them actively looking for problems. But they will react, obviously, if someone does complain. So maybe someone should write in and say, well, what's the evidence for Infocol or something like that? Which is when we talked about them earlier on, I mean, and you questioned my idea that we can now say that we can treat various things for babies. Even though the evidence is from another country, I think you could probably argue that the evidence is strong enough for me to say I treat this. And if the ASA says, we don't accept it, then you say, fair enough. But it was a good case, wasn't it? And then take it off your website. I would do that, but I'm a bit necky like that. Simon,
it's just if I may follow on colic. Colic is. Thank you very much.
I'm now blocking your camera, and I'm going to get it in the neck from the taxi very shortly.
Colic is, there was a big randomized controlled trial that was published in Osteopathy. The paper was out last year or 18 months ago, called CUTIE, the CUTIE trial.
Yes.
And that was led by Professor Carnes. What it did is it tested, it compared osteopathic intervention, so osteopathic manual intervention, with placebo intervention. And it found that there was no difference between the two groups. And I think that led to a lot of discussions within the osteopathic community, which was very helpful. Because what this paper did not say was not that osteopathic does not help with colic. What it did say is that when we compare with that type of placebo, we don't see a difference. So if there was an active ingredient, it's not that. There's something else that might be. And again, it goes back to our model. The way you design an RCT, or randomized controlled trial, is based on your model of your theory. Yeah. And you think, that's my active ingredient. I remove this active ingredient in my placebo, and I see if I can capture a difference. In that trial, they didn't capture a difference. And again, it doesn't mean it doesn't work. It just means that that's not what we thought was working, that is having an impact if there is an impact. And I think all of these things, whilst they are potentially disturbing for clinicians who see babies all day long, or maybe not all day long, but they regularly see babies and they see improvement and things like that, and starting to think, what does it mean for my work and my clinical practice? I think it's also really important for us to start asking these questions if we want to be credible, but also to understand what we're doing and how we could do it better. Yeah. And it helps us to frame a bit more our work, I think. So things are evolving and going in the right direction, but it is a slow progress for sure.
Well, it's easy for us to say, I suppose, but it's a shame that there is such a confrontational relationship between us and such a large proportion of the conventional medical fraternity.